Rebecca, did you? Oh, good. You did change your name. Rebecca Davis.
Hmm.
I know when I met you, it was not that.
I know.
So I introduce you. This is how when I talk about you, this is how I introduce you. I call you, and I know I told you this, like a college concierge.
Okay, yeah, I like that
I
term.
know I told you that.
Mm-hmm.
I call you a college concierge because that's hopefully can be changed. But I call you that because you help obviously families and kids find the ideal school. But more importantly, what I love about you is that you're about the students, you're
Mm-hmm.
about the person
Mm-hmm.
over the school.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I want to bring you back, but first I want to give you a chance to tell us a little bit about Cultivate. And you've been doing this for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about that because I want to hear that.
Yeah. So Cultivate Academics is, I mean, nowadays it is kind of a full offerings, if you will, of preparation for collegiate opportunities, right? Or opportunities in higher education. So what that means is we provide tutoring for SAT or ACT standardized tests. We also provide content tutoring for students in high school, kind of regardless of whether at their regular honors or AP level. In all academic subjects. And we also provide students support throughout the high school experience and into the college admissions process. So what that means is for eighth graders going into high school, in Las Vegas, where most of our clients come from, there are a lot of different opportunities for where you could go to high school. We've got a lot of high schools that are private, some parochial, some not, some magnet schools that focus in on particular career fields or job opportunities. We've got charter schools that are, ever increasingly more popular. And we even have micro schools and the opportunity to homeschool. So we've seen a lot of different, you know, the opportunities that kind of come up mean that there are more choices to make and more kind of nuances in how do we make these choices and what are the elements of my students experience, my a parent's goals, collegiate goals, or after high school goals that need to go into making choices like that. So I mean, it can be eighth graders going into ninth grade. We also have ninth and 10th graders who meet with us quarterly. So we can kind of help to curate a college or a high school experience that, again, meets their not only collegiate goals, but says to the student, what is it that I want to get out of these 4 years, And so high school is still very prescribed in its natural form,
A
with
good word for
kind
it.
of like the 6 period day or the 8 period rolling block. You have to have 4 years of English, 4 years of math, 3 years of social studies, so on and so forth. But beyond that, these students live very full lives even outside of the classroom. So it's like, that's part of your high school experience too. What happens inside the walls of your high school is only one part of it. Your adolescence is, your larger experience. So we help students kind of curate opportunities that they might want, including internships or extracurricular opportunities. Sports go into that, just kind of whatever a student might be interested in learning about or be curious about or want to experience. And then, probably the bulk of what we do is help students actually apply to college. So mentoring students along those 4 years often really allows us to get to know these students deeply, to see their evolution over time, to get to know the parents and the families, and really understand, what that the environment, the culture, the opportunities that a student is going to thrive within in a college experience. So applying to college means essays, applications, letters of recommendation, SAT, ACT, and all of the strategy that kind of goes into all of that. So when I say full service, well, I mean full service.
That's a
Like
lot. That's a lot to,
so
and
much.
and
Yeah.
even after college. I mean, I
Oh,
know you work with,
absolutely.
yeah, I know you work
Hmm.
with schools after college too. If they're going to go
Correct.
into something that needs a master's or a
Right.
PhD, you
Yeah.
help
So I
navigate that.
every year, I normally have 5 or 6 students who seek our help, and whether or not they have worked with us previously. Word of
Right.
mouth is so wonderful when you do a good job. I always say good people know good people. But 4 or 5, sometimes actually this year, probably around 8 students we've had that have sought our help for applying to medical school, applying to law school. I just met with one yesterday. He's so wonderful, graduate of UNR. And we've had students apply to physician assistants program, nurse
Right.
practitioner, nursing. I mean, MBA programs, just the gamut, because, I think that what sets us apart is really putting the student at the center of the experience. It's not about the college, it's about the student. We always say it's not about where you go, it's about why you go, and really
Right.
who's going. So I think that people appreciate that approach because, people like to be appreciated for who they are and not just what they do.
We both know that.
Yes,
We
indeed.
both know that. I'm going to ask this hard question a little bit later, but I wanted to bring us back. It was it was a time that we both remember. We have a mutual friend and we both were working with her son. And I remember forwarding you the information on what I knew about this person to help you with what you do and how you're going to help him. And we met at a coffee shop the first time
Mhm.
to go over what this means. And you made a quick decision. You made a decision, which was, I thought, unusual for how you worked, but it's
Mhm.
not. And what we're here to do is, I want to hear how you've used this tool called Colby
Mhm.
in your work. And we've been working together for a few years. So I want to hear from your perspective way back when at the coffee shop. And then we've worked together. And I'm going to get into the headspace of it, but I want to hear what you've recognized and how you've used that tool to help you help the kids.
Mhm. Yeah, so I mean, I view this work, yes, I am in a space of, helping students navigate high school, secondary education, and then into higher education. But truly, what I do is I help human beings make really great decisions. Okay. So, like, the best decisions come from knowing yourself really well. And so that is just kind of like the core of what I do at Cultivate, right? I thrive, or I strive, my apologies. So I strive to help students understand who they are, what their motivations are, what they want to. I'm going to put my Mary Oliver up here, right? What do you want to do with your
Like,
one, wild and precious life? How do they want to impact the world, see themselves, for their talents and their strengths and all of that sort of stuff, right? So when we know ourselves really well, we can make super duper rational and reasonable decisions. And that takes time, right? And that takes really great tools. And so when I met you and you started talking about the Colby assessment for students and for adults, and how that information could connect to the OpGig platform, I mean, that just spoke directly to that foundation, right? Here's a tool that is highly researched, highly accurate, and it is all about the individual getting to know themselves and understanding how to leverage that knowledge in the most powerful way possible, right?
you help them leverage that
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
because I think they can know. the numbers. They can know
Right.
that 4-digit number and how they work.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, I mean, this isn't a one and done.
Right.
They're like, and now what?
Mm-hmm.
Now what?
Absolutely.
And so,
Absolutely.
have you found that I mean, how have you used that? How have you helped them believe in themselves and believe this about themselves?
Yeah, so I mean, it's not about me helping them believe anything. It's shining a light on where have these things shown up in your life, right? So
Mm,
this idea of reflection, being able to reflect on your own experiences with new knowledge, right? So whether it's the twins that we worked with, that
yes,
was
yes, yes,
such a really cool client that we
yes.
shared, because what I did directly after that was we were in our kind of trajectory of what we were working on. The next thing was their resume, right? Their college resume. So with the Colby, then at every, oh, I worked with, the unhoused community at, Catholic Charities, or I packed lunches at Three Square, or I did Miracle League where I helped students with cognitive, dysfunction, round the bases in a baseball game. I was able to say, okay, according to your Colby, these are your strengths. In this situation or this moment of your life, how did these strengths show up? How were you uniquely, engaged or qualified or, fed or enriched of this experience because you know this about yourself, right? So it allows students to kind of see themselves in a new light. Whereas, like, I often feel like in high school, most of our private high schools around town, they have to do a certain amount of community service just to
Right,
graduate, 100 hours of community service. So, I
right,
mean, you could just have kids going to the food bank and, like,
right.
tutoring kids and math and blah, 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 and just kind of like going through the motions and not recognizing how they're impacting others, how this experience allows them to use their talents to positively affect others or to learn something about themselves, right? So, I mean, and those are the ways that we can glean information about what are going to be good next steps for me, right? If I can look back and go, oh, I noticed in that, research project that I had to do with two other classmates that I easily just kind of like fit into that facilitator role. And I really was able to see where there were gaps in what was being done. And I just naturally jumped in and filled in those gaps. Whereas some of my other, teammates, were kind of floundering. Then that goes, oh, I have this talent,
Yes,
I have this natural ability. I have this way of working that I can be a really great whatever,
yes.
in a career field. So I just feel like it allows students to see their lives with so much more light, you know?
And you can't change this. This is not something that you can alter. I've seen people want to alter it, like parents or people don't really, they're like, can I make it different? Like, can I be more like Rebecca and can I get more details? Right? Or can Rebecca be more like me and take more risks? Yeah, but it's not going to be pretty.
Mm-mm.
You can. So one of the things that I say this about you and I respect it so much, so incredibly much. You do not judge the other ways of taking action.
Mm-hmm.
You really don't judge. You know how someone works with this information, with the Colby test, and you go with their natural grain.
Mm-hmm.
You don't try and make it any different, and you don't impart your way of working on them.
Correct.
I love and respect that about you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, it would be absolutely counterintuitive to do that in my position, right? Because I am a guide, right? I am a guide for these students, and I can facilitate, self-knowledge, right? Whether it's with the Colby or OpGig or through
Mhm.
my own curriculum that I've created and protocols that I know that have worked for our students over time. But it's not for me to say, you should go to this school or that school. I mean, and that's another thing. I mean, you know, adult life is about making your own choices. And Cultivate Academics is aptly named because we are about growing through this moment in your adolescent life. And so to me, my job is to give students as much information as possible, understand who they are, and then allow them to make their own choices. So when we curate a college list for students, and it makes more work, and sometimes that's fine, when you're making a really great decision, but, we'll come up with a list of 15 different colleges and universities at different selectivity levels. So at the end of the day, these students still, regardless, are going to have 4 or 5 choices to where they can attend college, and so it really puts the power in the students' hands, and they can know that they've made a great choice because they've spent the time and the energy in working toward that choice.
Okay. All right. You know it's a can of worms. The whole choice thing,
Mm-hmm.
the whole having choice and natural consequences and decisions
Mm-hmm.
and allowing people to make that, because I know that students are not used to
Right.
making a lot of decisions for themselves.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, that's not natural, in my opinion, right?
Why?
As,
Why is it? Why do you think it's not?
well, because you spend, I don't know, 8/10 of your life as an adult who has, almost entire autonomous choice. And so, in my view of things, childhood from, 0 to 18, or in this case, 17, a lot of these kids are making these choices, about where to go to college, is training for adulthood. So there must be some time, in latter adolescence where we need to start empowering students to make their own choices. Now, of course, I'm not just here saying, okay, you tell me where you want to apply to college, and I'll help you write the essays, and, I'll help you click the button and fill it out. Like, absolutely not, because, there still needs to be professional and adult guidance along that way, right? There's a reason why colleges are filled with administrators and adults that are still, guiding our young people along the way. But it's a training ground, right? I mean, the latter half of adolescence is training for adulthood. So I think that they have to learn how to make great choices, and probably the largest part of that is self-knowledge.
Which is what you're teaching your kids right now.
In what exactly the Colby does as well, which is what you do, which is why we're such a great fit, and we just see things through that lens.
Right. So your husband's taken it and your kids have taken this,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone knows how everyone works in the family.
Yes.
Does that make it easier or better or not?
Yeah, I mean, it makes it so that we understand one another.
Mm.
So I would shy away from easier or better. Those are quite simple terms, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I would say that it broadens the empathy, I think, that you
Mm.
can have for other people in your family. I think that it takes out the human kind of desire to just say it's your fault, or you're this way, or this is bad, or this is good. I think the more knowledge you have about anything in life, particularly about other human beings, just the more empathetic and understanding you can be.
Wait, what do you mean when you said your fault? I don't, with that train, help me with that train of thought.
Yeah,
What did
so
you mean?
like we have one my husband and I, as you know, are very, very well matched. Our Colbys are almost the same. He's a bit more innovative than I am and less, just slightly less detailed. But we have one family member who could not be more opposite
Okay.
than us. And so
Mhm.
while I wouldn't say, the Colby makes anything easier, it's still frustrating to be in a tight, familial space with someone who's so incredibly different than you, but it does broaden the empathy, right? So it's like when a family member acts a certain way or behaves a certain way or, goes about a task in a different way than I would, it just it allows me to go, that's just the way she is, right? Like,
Okay.
it's not that that's wrong or
Uh-huh.
she's bad, or that's a bad behavior. It means that that's just the way this person goes about their learning, their curiosity, their human engagement, like their relationships and all of that.
Right.
So,
I think you give people a lot of latitude and leash to do things their way, right?
mhm.
Have you come across situations with the kids and or you and your husband where the blueprint of the Colby score has actually come to fruition and you've seen it happen just the way that it says that this person will solve a problem?
Yeah, I mean, yes, always, daily. Yes. And I think, because our kids are so small, they're 5 and 7, right?
Right.
Like, I feel like as we grow, right, we become more adaptable. I guess that for me, I shouldn't make a universal statement, but for me, I mean, the more that I know about myself, the more I understand that, like, okay, I could put myself in a situation that might be a little bit uncomfortable and I can work a different way for a small amount of time to like achieve a particular goal, maybe that I would want, right? Like
Right.
I'm
Right.
mature enough at 43 that I can know that about myself. But at 5 and 7, where our kids are,
Right.
they're just who they are, man. And there's not a
Right.
whole lot of nuance and like, oh, this situation's different. So maybe I should act in a different way. No, they're 5 and 7. They just like have their mode of the way that they, act, behave, think,
Yes.
engage, and that's how they do it.
They're
So
guttural.
absolutely. So yeah, I mean, as far as with, our son, just daily the his Colby shows up in the way that he organizes things. I mean, this kid puts the Legos all in line, and the way that he almost every day has things the same in his room. I mean, like, and one of the things that you really were helpful with as far as our son goes is that he likes to have things tangibly available to him at all times, whereas me, the less I see, the better I can work. My house is very plain. I don't like pictures on the wall. Like, I don't like a lot of stuff because it makes it difficult for me to concentrate on details, right? If there's too many
Right.
things around, I can't see the details that I'm naturally drawn to.
Yes.
For him, it's very, very different, So, like, all his toys are out so that he can tangibly grab them when he needs to and wants to. He doesn't, he's just different.
Am I hearing you say that you actually have a space for him where he doesn't have to put everything away and he can have his
Things
stuff
have to be
out
off the
or
floor.
okay. Okay.
but that's more of a safety issue. But yes, like, yeah, every single storage in his room besides his dresser where his clothes go,
Right.
you can see everything, all of
Right.
it. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing this, I'm picturing your kids coming to see you. I mean, obviously they're not going to have to come to see you, but can you imagine, and I've just thought of this for the first time, working with someone who's known how they've worked since they were your kids' age?
Yeah, that would be amazing. They probably wouldn't need me. I mean, truly. I mean, unless they just were like a poor writer or, didn't have a lot of knowledge about what kind of colleges were out there for them, like a student who had an enormous amount of self-knowledge probably is not going to utilize hours and hours and hours of my services.
But and also it's such the freedom and the choice that you're
Hmm.
giving your kids at this young age and that you're teaching the people that you work with
Right.
is a breeding ground for learning.
Hmm.
It's a breed because they have agency over their
Right.
decisions.
Right. Absolutely. Well, and yeah, and yes, absolutely. As teens for sure. I think what, some of the stories that you've told me, and I think what we are benefiting from for, our younger kids, 5 and 7, is that yes, while they are going to be in academic spaces or spaces where they have to, abide by certain rules or ways of doing things, we at least have given them, or will as they continue to mature and understand themselves a little bit better, the opportunity to make things work for them, right? So no one is
Mm,
saying, oh, this teacher should teach differently because my daughter is highly verbal and highly social, and therefore the
hmm.
classroom should change. No, not at all. So what we understand then is that because she works better when someone else initiates action, we
Right.
know as parents that when something needs to be done, we're the ones that need to initiate action. Or we could maybe call another, parent in class and say, hey, I know that the kids have this project to work on. Would your daughter or son like to come over and they could work, at the same time? So I
Right.
mean, it's like we understand, the more that the kids understand about themselves and how they work, they can make their own modifications under, an umbrella of they're in a classroom or a person's at a job. Like just because,
Yes.
this information about yourself doesn't mean that like everybody needs to bend over backwards and accommodate you. But
Right.
you have self knowledge and knowing, hey, if I work this best way, then I can take these shortcuts or I can
Hmm.
do things at home my way, and that's another way of self empowerment.
So, at what point do you transfer responsibility to the kids? Like, when would you do that?
What do you
And
mean?
like, when would you transfer the responsibility because they know how they work? You're pouring into them on a regular basis. When is it up to them to advocate for themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's really an individual choice, right? I think
Uh-huh.
for parents to make, we know our children better than anyone else. And,
Hmm.
um, I think when a parent feels like their child can do those things without major, a detrimental, consequence to the student. But I mean, there are students who are children who mature at higher rates than others. And I mean, cognitively, we're not done totally maturing until what, like 24 or 25. So,
Right.
um,
I thought it was like 28.
right.
I'll
Yeah.
take it. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So I think that that's an individual decision, but I mean, depending on what it is, I mean, right now it's like there are certain things in our household that it's like if you don't do this and you don't make the choice to do this or that, then there will be consequences. I mean, it's simple, like putting your clothes away,
Sure.
but
Sure.
at 14 or 15, it might be okay. Like if you aren't going to do this homework for whatever reason because you already know the information, you don't want to spend time doing it, or you've calculated your grade to the point
Yes.
of, I know if I get, a 90 on the test, then I don't have to do this homework. I can take a 0 for it. That might be a more appropriate age for that. So, but with anything, I think, we evolve and gain more skills as we continue to grow. And it's up to parents to understand when to allow that autonomy.
Are you a believer in natural consequences?
Well, the world will dish them out regardless of whether I believe in them or not. So I guess the answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yes.
kind of like science. It's there, whether you choose to believe it or not.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, Rebecca. I can't think of anything else I want to ask you right now.
Really?
What else do you want to talk about?
Are you gonna like cut this up? What's the motivation
I
behind
think
our
it's going to be
conversation?
cut up.
Okay, cool.
I think
So
it's
I
going to
did
be.
want to, something hit me in my brain. So like this morning, for example, Bear last night had brought out these like, well, he's a little engineer, as you know, from his Colby. So he's got these magnetic tiles or whatever. And so last night he had built this little thing, and it pained me to leave it on the living room floor, but I did
You did.
because as the Colby lets me know, he'll get up from stuff, but just because he gets up from it doesn't mean that he's done with the project. Right. So
Yes.
I left it alone. And of course, the very first thing he comes to when he comes down in his little pajamas this morning is the little house that he had built last night.
Wow.
And
He did.
he keeps building it. He keeps kind of messing with it. You know, he's the little tinkerer. And Dad had already made breakfast, but I knew, and I was hoping, and Brandon didn't, like interrupt his play to say, "Hey, dude, your breakfast is ready. Come and eat." We waited until Bear was done tinkering and then ate, because it's like we know now from watching him, the tinkering, right? The messing with a building, something or what have you, is so much more important to him. He lives for that stuff than eating. Right? He can eat slow, he can eat fast, he can get dressed quickly, he can not. I mean, it's just, those things aren't a big deal, right? So like, even though we only have an hour and a half in the morning, we all kind of like, okay, he's tinkering, leave him alone. If it comes down to it and he only has 20 minutes left to eat, that's fine. That's a sacrifice we know he will be able to make. And it's like, what difference does it make?
It doesn't.
Right? Like, that's a totally fine thing to do, because we knew his brain was working and he was
Yes.
fully engaged, right?
Yes. Isn't it
So,
fun to see that?
yeah,
Like
it's
how
super
into it
cool.
he is. Like he'll come
Yeah.
right back to it and start thinking.
Hmm.
I mean, he's already solving problems
Right.
in his
Right.
PJs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So that's definitely, it's just little things like that that make you, because, okay, had we interrupted him, "Hey, dude, it's time to eat, go eat." He may have been upset, emotionally, whatever, frustrated, and been thinking about that, just whatever. And it's like, okay, like, no big deal. We all get frustrated and emotionally upset, but it's like, why would we have had to do that when it didn't matter in the long run? So, anyway,
Way to go. Way
yeah.
to go. Way to go. Way to great. I mean, that's a great observation.
Mhm. But it's interesting. So, like, we've got another one. Our other child
Yes.
is super duper duper motivated by human interaction, conversation, like almost can't think or do something brand new on her own without someone else suggesting or
Right.
doing something.
Right. It's going
Right.
to, yeah. Hmm.
So we've got one that it's like, don't talk to him, don't touch him, don't mess with him, don't interrupt him. Right. Because like, he's zeroed in. And then the other one who's just like, boom, boom, boom,
Yep.
poke, poke, talk, question,
Yeah.
so it's definitely interesting to make sure that it's clear that both of them have different needs, and we're going to address the human interaction engagement needs a
Hmm.
lot. But there will be times that if Bear is working on his own, we are all going to respect that. So I think there's a lot of value in a family honoring who other people are inside the home so that when they leave the home, they can do that same thing, you know?
They meaning the family.
Right. So, like when our kids are older and they come across someone who's different than them or works differently,
Yes.
they can hopefully reflect back on how they were raised and was like, hey, it was okay, for me to work the way I was, but that also meant that I had to respect how other people worked.
Yes.
So,
That's the humility
mhm.
that you're teaching them, that their way of working is equally as valuable as
Right.
everyone else's way of working. It's just
Exactly.
different.
Right. Yeah.
Nice job parenting.
Yeah.
Very good.